Before we start, this is how I do most serious videos. This is a serious topic, so I'm going to show you claims from both sides, the relevant ones, and then attempt to show you each side's evidence if they have any. Then we'll look at the evidence available, debunk or confirm it, so those watching can make up their own mind. Before I give my opinion, this story is a contentious one. Luckily, we have an answer after all this time. Also, all the hours of live streaming, whether silly or serious, leading up to this video is a source to this video. Scrolling through UNIRocktv and ROCKaLOT, you can find titles and they'll reference major events in the story, and you can get to hear my opinion on it, of course. The source material will be on the screen, tweets, video clips, or picture. Some larger YouTubers don't understand why I stream like I do, or the topics I cover, but after watching this, I'm sure you will, especially if you go back to those live streams after hearing about a part of this story. It'll give you all the small details that I can't include here without the video going on forever. Also, this is an introduction. This is my first video in this series. I didn't want to do a series, but this will turn into over an hour or more, so I'm going to do it this way. This is the targeted harassment campaign against Katie Joy Paulson, known as Without a Crystal Ball. First off, Katie is the target of a harassment campaign. That is confirmed. There's no denying it. Just a quick reference to the top evidence of this. She was doxxed on Reddit with pictures of her house, her address, phone number, and her neighbor was doxxed also with pictures of the neighbor's wife, the husband, the child, full names and addresses. Just a day later, she was doxxed on Twitter on a person's public profile. We'll go into that more later. I'll at least show you it on a screen right now who did it, but we'll go into it later. People have shown up at her house taking pictures outside. The police have been called several times due to this, and phone calls threatening her, her husband's ex-employers, and friends, all with evidence, even released recordings of the threats left on voicemail. A glance at any mention of her anywhere online, and you'll see the same group of people spamming about her the most negative possible, even misrepresenting and lying to influence the response to anything she posts or is posted about her. Her son's medical condition was stated to be fake by this same group of people, let alone the insults slung at her, her husband, and her son across any platform. I must also mention the non-public, non-searchable, invite-only secret Facebook group whose contents has leaked many times, where the dox of Katie Joy originated with the statement typed, "We've had her address for months. She thinks that she's safe." These are just a quick listing of the top reasons that the campaign against her is confirmed. But the greatest evidence of the campaign is that the self-proclaimed leader of the anti-KJP movement was served a restraining order after he posted a video of him and his friend saying this.
But anyways,
so let's harass her right now. I want to harass her right now, okay?
I'm so offended. You didn't, David, you didn't ask my consent. But you know what? You have my consent for everything.
No, but I'm saying it to her, and I didn't give her my consent.
Oh.
If she watches this video, now I've her.
But we will go into more detail later after I catch people up to who the players are in this story. Quick backstory for those of you that don't know, Katie Joy has 120,000 subscribers. But not too long ago, she was a co-host of the now defunct Non Sequitur show with Kyle Curtis. Afterwards, she decided to start her own channel without a crystal ball. This is why this controversy is linked with the Non Sequitur show breakup. KJP met Steve here on this show. They both have confirmed they did 2 together at least, with no more than 3 or 4.
I agree he should have been prosecuted, which he was, but...
So now we must introduce the other side of the story. The said Mr. McRae. I've covered the non-sec breakup in detail, so my audience needs no catch-up here. But for anyone else watching, McRae was the co-host of Non-Sec, who has his own channel and discusses internet drama that he causes with others. After scrolling his channel, this is a fair statement, but he claims that his channel discusses religion. Make up your own mind and scroll through his channel yourself. This all started a year ago in June of 2019 inside of a Non Sequitur live chat where Kyle Curtis was talking about the breakup of his show. Katie typed in the live chat that Steve McRae made her uncomfortable in pre-show and post-show discussions. McRae was alerted that KJP said this, and in the greatest Streisand effect ever witnessed, started live streaming and posting, claiming that KJP was lying about feeling uncomfortable. From what I can determine, this caused KJP to post several public replies. All of those, the most important one happened later in June, where she responded on Twitter to her friends discussing this matter and said this: "I'm going to state it as censored as possible. Obviously, this is YouTube." She said that McCrae talked about his sexual prowess, the size of his private parts, and he propositioned her. Deep diving the responses from both sides, I can confirm that KJP replied, posted very little about this, while McCrae spammed the internet with demands, excuses, and started taking shots at KJP often. This can be confirmed on Cheshire's video, Steve's co-host, where a Twitter thread is shown with Steve demanding apologies and responses from KJP. She says that they should take it to the DMs to keep the drama from pouring out onto the internet. I must add that Cheshire in her video states Katie wanted to take it to a private call. This is not true. She typed DMs. Of course, that never happened, and McCrae's content across Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube all was constant demands and attacks toward KJP, ramping ever upward to a more triggered state with every video. Also, going back to June, a very large number of new accounts all started popping up on Twitter, and they were anti-KJP focused accounts. These accounts would attack any opinion from KJP while claiming to have hard evidence that she was evil, lying, or other nasty accusations. Looking at these accounts, it's obvious they all had the same agenda, playing off of each other's information, helping retweet each other, share, and comment on each other's accounts. I found this fact to be major because if this was a natural response to KJP due to her lying and doing nasty things, you wouldn't expect the majority of the accounts to pop up in the same month that Katie accused McCrae of the SH allegation. SH will be used to replace the word. At the same time, YouTube accounts also started making videos posting Katie's Instagram streams, along with exposed videos towards her. Disclaimer, this of course is not an attempt to categorize all criticism against her as part of the campaign. The content that I'm grouping here is very different than criticism videos. This is an important part of the story, so I'm going to elaborate for a minute. Criticism videos take either many public posts or actions that somebody does and responds to it with reasoning that opposes the opinion. Sometimes a YouTuber does something either criminal or mean or nasty and deserves criticism, and that type is more rare than this type that I'm pointing out. But the content that was made against Katie was very different from normal criticism videos and basically just was a recounting of her opinion taken in a negative context, then spammed out into the internet by the same group of people. I think that a very clear determination should be set regarding criticism and harassment. And yes, there will always be criticism of KJP as her channel gets bigger and bigger. But if we break down the definition of targeted harassment campaigns and how it differs from criticism, I feel the biggest difference is in a few points. Are the criticizers applying the criticism fairly across everybody that they observe, especially those close to them? You see, a lot of the things that these accounts were spamming KJP about were things that other anti-KJP accounts were doing, things that their leader were doing, and a lot was even being done by the poster itself. I think the targeted part of targeted harassment can be seen in this point. The poster is very against KJP for doing it, but it's okay for them to do it or their allies. This targets KJP. The harassment part of targeted harassment is harder to break down when looking for definitions and discussion about this, but you can look to the terms of service rules on platforms and they draw as clear of a definition as somebody can, even though it's not that clear, honestly. I'm a free speech advocate, but being one means you should be responsible for what you say, just like you're responsible for what you do. If you rob a bank, you go to jail. If you threaten somebody, you may also, or you might be banned from social media. But in the question of whether KJP was harassed, the ultimate answer lies in a judge's ruling. As most of you know, this story went on for a year, and after KJP was doxxed, threatened, and harassed at her home with phone calls and more, she filed a restraining order against McCrae, as I mentioned. This means that a judge looking at posts from the private troll group along with the evidence of the threats on voicemail and police reports, video clips, etc., decided that KJP was being harassed, and that leads to the main discussion on this topic. Who is doing this and who is responsible? This is where the intro will end. But I'm going to discuss this last topic for a moment, adding this to the script. I can only give my opinion on who's responsible based on the facts in the story. Here's what I think. We know that a group of people exist who harass without a crystal ball off of the internet in her real life. The members of the secret Facebook group claim that they aren't the same people who harass her offline, though I want to make sure I stress this timeline at the end of this intro. KJP was first doxxed in that group, then she reported having people come to her house and tamper with things in her yard. After that, her docs, her neighbor's docs, including her neighbor's child's picture and docs, were posted to Reddit. Then 2 different self-admitted members of this secret group openly posted on their Twitter timeline the same docs packet that was posted to Reddit. These 2 people were Little Red and the WOACB commentary Twitter account. As you see Little Red's post on my screen. We've just censored it. She didn't. When the doxing issue happened, Steve McRae incorrectly posted on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Insta that sharing KJP's docs wasn't illegal or wrong because it was obtained by searching her LLC business info. As you see here on the screen, you can pause it and read it. In the restraining order, the judge adds that it is illegal to post this. In the TOS, it states that it's illegal to post this, and knowing that, never has he issued a correction. This means you've got to believe that the people in the secret troll group obtained the information. The man who was the admin for the group made excuses for sharing it, Steve McRae, but these same people didn't do the actual real-world harassing. Well, even if they didn't, and I believe they did, if they wouldn't have shared this info, it is likely that KJP may not have had these issues. Or would she have? I think they did this because they know that if they continued harassing Katie with the only originator of the docs being their group, it would implicate their group in the mind of the masses. So they put it out, made excuses, and then railed Katie like usual. In part 2, I'll go into more detail on the specifics around this campaign. Thanks for watching. I'm going to add this in at the end. You guys know that a couple days ago, Creepshow Art flipped out on me on Twitter for discussing who she was talking about in a Twitter post, just giving my opinion on it. I hope Creepshow takes a look at this campaign, but doesn't just listen to people on the internet like me or them, but actually looks at what happened. There are many videos that detail this, and I think it's a big story. For one, a YouTuber got a restraining order for talking about another YouTuber. For another, that YouTuber is the person who contacted her to start drama and to get her fighting with other people, all based on stupid stuff. Either way, the evidence in this story is clear. I will update you more in part 2. Thank you.